Servus Freunde, my name's
Hi Jimmy!
Hey, what's that?
That, my friend, is a parrot. It'll tell us the future and will answer our most burning questions.
Okay, sounds like a hoax to me.
Wait, I'll prove it to you. Parrot, who is the best content creator on YouTube?
Jimmy Cage. Jimmy Cage.
See?
Oh, wow, nice!
Parrot, who has the best hair on YouTube?
Jimmy Cage. Jimmy Cage.
Awesome! Let me try. Parrot, what is keeping my channel from being the truly best and biggest channel on YouTube? What is dragging me down?
Buddymeister. Buddymeister. Buddymeister.
Stupid parrot.
Buddymeister. 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 Buddymeister.
பூவரசந்து பூத்தாச்சு பொண்ணுக்கு சேதியும் வந்தாச்சு காவேரி போல பொங்குற மனசு பாடாதோ பூவரசந்து பூத்தாச்சு பொண்ணுக்கு சேதி.
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
We have reviewed more than 400 indie movies on the channel, and today's one was once again picked for us by one of our awesome Masala Meister tier supporters.
KIZHAKKE Pogum Rail, which translates to Eastbound Train, is a 1978 Tamil language romantic drama that was written and directed by Bharathiraja. It stars Sudhakar and Raadhika in the leading roles, both newcomers at the time. The movie became a big success. It ran for over 365 days in the theaters, and it was remade in Telugu and Hindi.
KIZHAKKE Pogum Rail is a pretty nice title and frame for the movie and its story. And it also ties in with the song that comes later, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But let's talk about the story first.
It revolves around Paranjothi, a young budding writer who is reprimanded, almost despised by the people of his village. The only girl who understands his predicament is Panchali. The two slowly fall in love, but the orthodox villagers of course pose a threat to their relationship.
It's a nice story and the movie has a nice atmosphere. A rural setting that's pretty beautiful to look at and yet also pretty damning for our main characters, as the superstitious beliefs and old customs lead to some disastrous outcomes.
The way the movie is directed, shot and narrated has a certain innocence about it that I really liked. It's very pleasant in a way, as a movie. The version that we watched was a bit raw and scruffy, but Bharathiraja's vision is still very visible and tangible, especially through the cinematography by P.S. Nivas. And there are a few neat little tricks and treats in the cinematography and the editing that make it so likable.
Some of these definitely add to the atmosphere. Some are a bit too much, I think. But the movie already had me with this super playful way of editing the whole sequence in which Panchali is asking for the way to the village and simultaneously already being on it. I'm not quite sure if I have ever seen a situation like this edited in this way. It's pretty cool.
And it's fun and charming and quirky in a way, and it gives us a good introduction for the character of Panchali, this young innocent girl who takes things as they come and seemingly doesn't think bad of anybody or anything. That's of course something that changes over time, and she herself says it towards the end.
I found it very refreshing and fun how Panchali is pretending to read palms and how she is using some very obvious tricks to come up with something true. It's only a little thing, but I just like how this young woman from the city treats stuff like palmistry as what it is, just some magic trick. And this of course also already relates to the setting, that she arrives in the small village that's full of people who follow very antiquated customs. Something that will lead to a lot of tragedy in the film later on.
It's a very emotional film, and at the heart of it is the love between Paranjothi and Panchali. The movie takes the development of this love slow. Of course, we get the typical love at first sight moment, but it still takes some time until the two can fully embrace their love. And I like this slow approach. There is this great scene, it's one of those treats I mentioned earlier, where Panchali inspires Paranjothi. It's like flashes of imagery in the mind of Paranjothi. Panchali running away as she is and running away in this beautiful dance outfit. And that manifests how much she means to him.
But his passion for poetry is not appreciated at all where he lives. A great and heartbreaking scene is when he doesn't have any money to give at the wedding of his sister. Instead, he offers his love in form of his art, but everyone around him is just making fun of him, except Panchali, who witnesses it from afar and who gets him. And this is what makes this love story so sweet and touching.
The villagers also exploit Paranjothi's nervousness. They use him, like when he's supposed to watch the crops. And of course, nobody's on his side when it comes to explaining the situations to the landlord or the elders, which is hard to watch later on when he's judged for running after Panchali.
Sudhakar and Raadhika are both great in their respective roles, but Raadhika certainly steals the show. She's wonderful as Panchali. She has a lot of personality, a pretty crazy laugh, and the thing with the little parrot is so much fun. And she was only 15 at the time.
One thing that made this love story bigger and even epic in a way is the wonderful soundtrack by the legendary Ilaiyaraaja. I thought that the main theme, the leitmotif for their love, this haunting sequence of notes, elevates this so much. It's true Ilaiyaraaja magic.
And the 4 songs are all quite wonderful as well, but the last one is easily the highlight for me. It's titled Puvarasampu, and I loved how the motif of the train and the sounds of the train are built into this beautiful song about these 2 lovers who are separated by a huge distance and are now sending each other secret messages through the titular eastbound train.
And the songs are sung by S. Janaki, another absolute legend in Indian cinema and Indian music.
I want to go back to the subtle development of this love story. I found it rather peculiar, but also really refreshing, how the movie shows the sensation of touching the person you are attracted to. It's quite spectacularly depicted how Panchali is slowly sliding down at the upper body of Paranjothi.
There are a lot of understated, fine things in this movie that made it so substantial for me, so rich. Be it those scenes with Paranjothi and Panchali, be it the juxtaposition of village and city, which is on display when Paranjothi works at the newspaper, or be it the harrowing traditions or rituals in the village.
With just a little bit over 2 hours, KIZHAKKE Pogum Rail is rather short for an Indian movie, and I certainly appreciate that. But I also think it gets a bit too erratic or jumpy in its narrative later on. And maybe it's because of the translation, but some of the side characters felt rather underwritten, and when they play an important role in some moments, I wasn't so sure who they actually are and how they fit into all of this. For example, this retired military man, Patalata.
But I think they planted him quite thoughtfully at different points in the movie. He's defending Paranjothi when he wants to bathe in the sea and Ramaya calls his father a beggar. He's present when Ramaya approaches Panchali during the festivity, and he's also present every time the village elders debate. He's like the only voice of reason in this wretched village. He's also the only one who opposes the elders when they take the vote for the rain-stopping ritual. But he of course is thrown out because he doesn't mix well with the others. So I thought it's really nice that this voice of reason is the reason that we get the ending that we get.
Maybe I should have paid more attention. Anyway, I think the whole ending is pretty exciting. At first I was expecting the worst in terms of what's going to happen to our protagonists, with the villagers preparing this stupid ritual to appease the gods to make it stop raining. But thankfully, this is a movie with a different outcome. And once Paranjothi arrives in the village, exactly at the right moment, I was super pumped and cheering for them. I think it's a great ending.
Me too, and I'm so unbelievably glad that it's a happy ending. I needed that.
Everything's fine, buddy. What would we say in German about KIZHAKKE Pogum Rail?
KIZHAKKE Pogum Rail ist ein kleines Juwel, das uns von Anfang an in seinen Bann gezogen hat. Ein emotionaler Film, deren rührender Mittelpunkt die wunderbar erzählte Liebesgeschichte von Paranjothi und Panchali ist.
I give KIZHAKKE Pogum Rail 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.1, but I don't do that.
For me, it's 8 out of 10. It's more like 7.8, but I don't do that either. Did you know that the oldest surviving train station in India is the Royapuram railway station in Chennai? The first train left the station on June 28, 1856. And the station is still functional after 166 years.
Very interesting. So, what are your thoughts about KIZHAKKE Pogum Rail? Leave a comment. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at the Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at the Buddymeister.
And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like.
And make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.